Hi, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to give you some facts about nuclear weapons. And today we have more than 12,000 nuclear weapons, nuclear warheads in existence in 2024. So that's 12,000, more than 12,000 warheads. In the height of the of the Cold War era, there have been 70,000 nuclear weapons. So there we could not only destroy the planet over and over, we could destroy the planet several times over and over. Huh? With these 12,000 nuclear weapons, we can really kill almost everybody on the planet. There are estimations that in a nuclear war, and these weapons will be used, about 350 million people will die immediately. And then over the course of time, there will be 5 billion people out of roughly 8 billion people we have today on the planet die. So that is coming from fallout, from radiation, from nuclear winter and all these effects. So basically everybody is going to be affected, and due to these high levels of radiation, the mere existence of the human race is really at stake. So, but this is more like a projection, and of course we are going to go more deeply in these kind of things. But let's focus more on the facts, because this other thing is a prediction. So we have 9 states where the United States and Russia are like the ones who have around 5,000 nuclear warheads. Then China is the next one, and then we have several countries which have nuclear weapons, but in a smaller amount. Still, if you have 100 nuclear weapons and you put them on a lot of cities around the world, you can make a lot of damage. There have been 520 tests of nuclear weapons. There have been much more tests underground. But at the beginning of the use of nuclear weapons, there have been 520 atmospheric tests. So nuclear weapons exploding in the atmosphere, usually in areas like somewhere in the Pacific, where there's a really remote. The Bikini Atoll is well known, and also in Russia that has been on land in I think it was in Kazakhstan, and also in one island in the north which they used. So 520 tests of nuclear weapons with a yield, and yield means how much power did these weapons have, with over also 500 megatons of TNT. So now we come to something. What is this megatons and kilotons and stuff? Yeah? So basically, if you watch something like Mythbusters, and these guys are usually using C4, plastics explosives, and they blow up things. And if there's just a kilo or some pounds of explosive, it's going to make a big boom. If aircraft flying around and they throw bombs, there's a very big bomb is, for example, 1 ton. It's an encasing of metal and it's practically largely filled with explosive. Yeah? So this 1 ton bomb will be 1 ton, and it's, let's say, 750 kilograms of explosive in there. And usually one explosive is used, TNT, trinitritoluol. It's one standard type of explosive, so that people can say, okay, a bomb has this kind of, boom. How much boom does a bomb have? So there have been, all the nuclear tests were 520 megatons. Those are 520 million tons, and this is a kilogram ton, so it's as standard units. 4 tons. So this is quite a lot. Well, let's go over, we wanted to look at the facts. The first nuclear test, Trinity, was the one, maybe you have seen Oppenheimer, this test they do, I think in Nevada in the desert. That one was 21 kilotons. So it's 21,000 tons. Was the first nuclear weapon really to explode. If you look, there have been some explosions. For example, I think it was in 2020 in Beirut, there were nearly 3,000 tons of an explosive exploding. But, that were 3,000 tons of a certain stuff. Yeah? But this only has the equivalent of 0.8 kilotons of TNT, because TNT is a more powerful explosive substance. So that wasn't the largest. Some people say, hey, that was the largest, and there's video of this, and you see the aftermath. Lots of people died and lots of damage. But actually, there has been in Halifax, there has been an explosion a long time, 100 years ago or so. So that there, 2.9 kilotons, 2,900 tons of high explosive, I think it was for the First World War, just exploded, and that made a huge, also lots of people died and made lots of damage in Halifax. Halifax was the largest man-made explosion so far. You know, all this data you can look up in Wikipedia, and everything there is taken from Wikipedia. And that was like the biggest bang accidentally, ever produced, which was non-nuclear, which was a non-nuclear explosion, and of course a lot of people died there, and it made a lot of damage. So, and you see that like the Trinity test is like roughly, no, it's not exactly, it's like 8 times bigger. Yeah, the first nuclear device was already 8 times bigger than the biggest ever explosion of like a whole ship filled with high explosives. Yeah, so that is like how powerful a nuclear device can be. The biggest, the biggest ever built bomb was built by the Russians. It's called the Tsar bomber, which had 57 megatons, so 57 million tons of TNT. It was the biggest ever bomb which exploded. It was exploded in the atmosphere. It was one of the cleanest bombs because they made a design which resulted in really an enormous amount of power. And they also exploded it high up in the air so that not so much dirt was actually produced. So it was one of the cleanest explosions. Still, it was like really, really big, and it contaminated really large areas. And they had the option to upgrade this thing to like 100 megatons, but then it would have been one of the dirtiest bombs ever. And they decided, thank you very much, everybody to not put in certain amounts of uranium in one area, so that it became a very, very powerful bomb and also sort of a clean bomb, if you can ever say that. It's just compared to others, the amount of explosive generated compared with the fallout was sort of clean, yeah, if you can ever say that. And the smallest nuclear weapon has only, it's actually an adjustable one, so it's like a very small device. It's called a David Crockett. It's like an artillery grenade, and you can carry this thing around. And this can be set between 10 tons. It's so really low. 10 tons is something you can have a whole truck of explosives. That would be the equivalent, until 1,000 tons. So 10 tons to 1 kiloton, you can set this device there. It's like you can dial it and adjust it to what kind of setting you want to have. So that's like a very small device. And just to give you there have been only so far really 2 nuclear weapons used against humans, really. Of course, the tests in the end also did something to the humans, but we intentionally in war to have them used. Hiroshima was like the first weapon used against in a war, was 12.5 kilotons, yeah, so even smaller than the first test. So it was Trinity had 21 kilotons. Hiroshima, the bomb had 12.5 kilotons, and it said that between 70 and 80,000 people died immediately. It's in Wikipedia. So 70 to 8,000 people immediately from the bomb itself, and then 90 to 160,000 people, they died overall from the effects of this explosion. So that was like one bomb, and a small one, yeah. But in Hiroshima, in a city, and immediately 70 to 80,000 people dead, and not. The largest man-made explosion in Halifax was like roughly 3, so it's like 4 times stronger than Halifax. But in Halifax, not fewer people died. The next one used in war was Nagasaki. And Nagasaki had 22 kilotons, so more or less like in the Trinity test. And there it's said that 22,000 people died immediately, and then 70 to 80,000 overall. Of course, all these figures of how many people died immediately, and there are some certain factors of insecurity about this, because the whole thing was gone. You know, it was not like normal kind of bombing. So everything was gone. So it was really hard to actually find out exact figures. To compare this, you see that we are talking about thousands of tons of bombs. Yeah? And now you can say, yeah, but how is this compared with conventional bombing? And of course, there have been in the Second World War campaigns where, for example, it's called the 1,000 bomber raids, and there's even some movies and books about this, where they used 1,000 in the era of 1,000 or even more bombers to bomb in one campaign, in one day or in one night, certain cities. And so like Wikipedia lists 3 of them against Cologne, Essen and Bremen. And there were the bombers in the Second World War, they were not carrying so much ordnance. They were not capable of doing so as bombers maybe today. So it says that, for example, 1,450 tons of bombs were dropped in one of these raids. Yeah? So in a 1,000 bomber raid, and the bomber could carry like between 1 and 2 tons of cargo each, 1 to 2 tons of bombs. So around 1,000 bombers delivered about 1.5 kiloton of bombs. The bombs, again, there's encasing, so if it's 1.5 kilotons of bomb, it doesn't mean that it's just the explosive power. But it's already similar. You see that it's already similar that you make 10 of these raids, you have a similar result like Nagasaki. Only that the amount of people killed in this bombing, because there's lots of small bombs, yeah? And the people were expecting it, so they were like in shelters, and some of them, of course, people died, but people were in shelters and tried to shelter from the bombs. So a lot of damage was done, but not so, not tens of thousands of people died at this rate. Yeah? So because one big blast of 12 kilotons in Hiroshima makes a much bigger effect than throwing lots and lots of small bombs there. So that's like basically the difference. And of course, the normal bombing is conventional, it's explosives, they fall down, they explode. Some of them don't, so you have to do something about them later. In Germany, we still find bombs. Here in the area I lived some years ago, there was construction going on, then there are still bombs lying in the ground, and then they have to come and defuse this bomb even after like 80 years or so. But really, these are some facts about nuclear weapons. If you take a nuclear weapon, of these smaller types, really, like they are nuclear weapons which have, like Hiroshima or Nagasaki, like 10 to 20 kilotons. They killed directly, immediately to later between 100 and 150,000 people, just these small bombs. And nowadays we have bombs which are 1,000 times more powerful. So it's not there's a 10 to 12 kilotons, and then there's a 10 to 12 megatons. So it's like 1,000 times more powerful. Yeah? You can imagine. And this one was never, such a megaton bomb was never used in war against population, but you can expect that you use one of these large warheads and you send it against a big city like New York. Yeah? So you basically, everybody dies there. It's gone like this. And that makes the big difference of nuclear weapons. And we have the problem of that they are 12,000 of them left on the planet. We can, if you take 12,000 warheads and you distribute them about the biggest cities in the world, you will have millions of people, hundreds of millions of people die immediately. And then there's effect of when there's a lot of nuclear fallout coming, and the nuclear winter is when all these bombs produce a lot of dirt which goes in the air. Then the whole atmosphere will be sheltered from sun coming in, and so vegetation will be dying, and people will be dying in the billions. And maybe even there would be nothing left, and our genes will degrade so much that there is no human race left after this. So this is some facts about nuclear weapons. I hope you enjoyed this a little bit, and go on, check yourself on Wikipedia. There's like the facts are really good you find them on the internet. And it would be really great if you go to zero-nukes.net, which is, the project eliminating nuclear weapons from this planet until 2042. And thank you very much for watching, and see you on zero-nukes.net. Thank you very much.